Good morning and welcome. I'm the Gentleman and this is the Gentleman's Pixel Club. This channel has been showing game videos so far in what we've done, and yesterday I created a trailer for the channel, which you can see if you're effectively a new subscriber to it, and it alluded to we might be doing something a little bit else as well, just on the side, not as a permanent feature, but when the need takes. Anyway, we will be talking about videos, TV programs, and stuff like this. Now, I enjoy a lot of effectively legacy TV, vintage TV, retro TV. I remember when Star Wars was Star Wars. I remember when Star Trek was Star Trek. We have a lot of franchises that have effectively been ruined as time goes on. Obviously, the more commercial they get, the more films that are made, the more episodes that are made, and everything else like this. But one franchise I've always enjoyed, and I've got that it's completely over the top, and I understand that, and I get that, is The Fast and the Furious. It was popcorn TV, popcorn cinema, and it really did not matter what you were watching. You know it was going to be utterly ridiculous. But by God, I have just seen F9, Fast 9, and spoilers ahead, if you've not seen this film, stop now. Stop the video now. You will probably ruin it for yourself. But what a crock of shit this is. I cannot understand for me how they tied all these action pieces together with little continuity. It was not a pleasure to watch. It felt very disjointed. It certainly felt very rushed. The actors here, must have looked at this and thought, well, sod it. There's the fear of missing out, so our customers, our viewers, will actually think, yeah, sod it, we'll just throw money at this. We will go and watch it. But the film, the film is worth seeing. Effectively, when it comes out on TV or when it comes to a streaming service near you. If you're going to pay money for this, make sure that you are a die-hard fan like I was. I'm doing this now before I effectively forget everything that I saw. If you're sitting in there watching the film, writing stuff down, you can be sure that some attendant with their COVID masks is going to come down to say, hey, what you're doing, because, who knows what you're doing here, and they're not going to be impressed. So, it kicks off. How does it even kick off? I'm trying to remember how it kicks off. Yes, they receive an alert from Mr. Nobody. Mr. Nobody is effectively the CIA man paid by Kurt Russell, I think it was, and he's in a plane that's gone down. So off go this crew to go and find the plane, and they have a little bit at the beginning when they say, oh, there's a 10-minute gap or something between the army turning up, and we need to go in and find the plane, find what happened to it, and a code has been sent with this that encourages Dom to go along as well. Originally he wasn't that interested and Letty went off, but he goes along. Anyway, cut a long story short, they find the wreckage of the plane. Hacker Girl, who I don't recall from the previous films, even though I'm a fan, maybe she played a minor part, but she manages to open up the device and gets effectively, I suppose, half a dome, which is part of the ultimate weapon here that must never fall into enemies' hands. When they do that, a whole lot of our army bad guys turn up and start shooting the hell out of them, and they end up in a car chase. One of the team gets split up. His name escapes me for the moment, and I'm a fan, but this is how much this film bored me to nothing when I watched it. And he basically gets trapped in a temple that looks like it belongs in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Anyway, guns are blazing everywhere, and he picks up a gun in a panic, manages to shoot everybody and not get hit himself, which sends him on this religious arc through the film where he's talking to his buddy saying, oh, maybe we're immortal, maybe we're this, maybe we're that, look at my jacket, bullet holes. Nothing else can affect me, you know, we're here for a reason, maybe we can't die. And they will take the piss out of him, rightly so. But this is the comic pair, you know, the couple of coloured guys that you have in a car that always usually have very, very good jokes among themselves. John Cena also appears in this chase with Dom and Letty and everybody else, and there's all this slow motion pause as they recognise each other, and then John Cena drives off, having managed to get to the half dome, which was part of the ultimate weapon that they were all chasing. He drives off a cliff, and he's actually caught by a flying plane, which later turns out to have magnets. Dom is being pursued as well by all the bad guys with Letty in the car, and they drive off the cliff, but they manage to clip a bit of a broken bridge that causes them to effectively bungee jump, swing around in the most unusual fashion, and safely crash land. Well, it rolls a little bit, but safely crash land on the other side of the cliff, so all the bad guys effectively turn away. You know, they say that this bridge, which was broken, that they use effectively as a bungee cord to whip around, is another continent. Well, these bad guys, they are not going to care. They're really not going to care. Now, I haven't been paying much attention to the car at that point, whether it was the same car, a different car, but that car was definitely a write-off. And as we go through this film, Dom drives this particular black car that he has, and it always seems to be broken, busted up, yet repaired in another scene. Now, I don't know about you, I have taken my car into a garage many times, and I've been in a situation where, you know, it takes many days to get stuff repaired. You know, none of this instant repair rubbish that we have in this film. Anyway, moving forwards, what happened next? Yeah, you have some flashbacks about, you know, younger Dom and his unknown brother called John Cena, who then appears to have fixed a drag race or a circuit race or a stock race, something like that, where his dad dies. Anyway, brothers clash, you know, and all through these cutscenes, I'm just going to blur it into one. Dom offers John Cena a chance to basically drive off into the sunset if he loses a race. Sorry about the cat you may hear in the background. Drive off into the sunset if they lose a race and never come back. John Cena is a little bit pissed at this and basically goes and beefs himself up to be the John Cena that we know and love, who nobody can see. And, you know, he then has this military army that he's joined that's being funded by an unnamed European person. Anyway, they then go to find the second part of the dome that seems to be in Edinburgh, which they eventually get. You know, there's a couple of other scenes before this, but they're all a bit boring, and this is just what I remember from the film. So they get the dome, and there's this, or they don't get the dome, John Cena gets the dome, and there's this a big chase through Edinburgh. On one of the earlier Fast films, you will recall a taxiing plane. Now, they did the maths on this. I saw an article about this one time. In order for that chase with the cars against the plane to have been successful in real life, the runway would have had to have been, I don't know, 26 miles long. It was daft, it was fun, but you know what? This is popcorn films. John Cena seems to be going through Edinburgh in Scotland on a zip wire forever. There's a couple of scenes where he picks up effectively a new zip wire casing, shoots it, and it couldn't even possibly have this much zip wire in it to, you know, travel for another half mile or something like that. And it goes on and on and on. Now, I know zip wires. I've done the Chiang Mai zip wire challenge in Thailand a few years ago, and one of these zip wires is about half a mile long across the jungle. You are that high, you can just see the canopy of the jungle below. It is shit scary, but fun nevertheless. Now, doing that zip wire, you just fly along. You know, there is no slow speed or anything else like this. But Dom is able to watch John Cena zipline multiple times or sort of forever across Edinburgh while he's chasing them in his car. You've got Hacker Girl, who I can't remember from the early episodes, that steals a van that is then chasing them, and this van has magnetic properties. They can flip a switch and there's effectively these giant magnets that pull everything into the side of the van. What I'm interested in is this is that strong and it's got the force to pull these items in. You know, why is it not pulling in all the cars as it goes? Anyway, Dom continues in the background while you've got this van and all this chaos going around here, to chase John Cena across Edinburgh, and eventually they catch up to him and there's a bit more of a car chase. Dom manages to land on top of the yellow van that Hacker Girl is driving, and yeah, that's still going through Edinburgh and everything else like this. And eventually the switch is flipped and the magnets turn on, and by pure chance they pull John Cena and his red car into the side of the van, and it goes straight through the side and is captured there. Why were no other cars affected this way? This is utterly ridiculous. They go to their base, which is that they found by following the data lead. Hacker Girl did this with Mr. Nobody, and they're in the base, and it turns out that John Cena used to previously work for Mr. Nobody, and you know he's captured in this base, so he knows this base. By pure coincidence, a whole lot of bad guys then turn up, sponsored by the unnamed European man, and we've also got the lady from the previous Fast and Furious, the hacker woman who caused so much trouble and killed, I believe it was the girlfriend of Dom earlier on in one of the earlier episodes. She's held captured and has been involved going backwards and forwards with the European name and John Cena surrounding the half of the dome they've got originally to then get this. Now all of this sounds completely fucking jumbled. It really does. And that is the film that you are watching. It is utterly ridiculous, and you know we're not even halfway through yet. At some point earlier on as well, there had been a scene where you've got this jet going down a runway and people from the Tokyo Drift, all meeting up here, and they happen to just be doing this experiment to put a rocket on top of a car to see how fast it can go. It doesn't quite beat the plane, but it just gets to the end of a very, very long road and then blows up. Now I'm surprised you could have military planes here, you can then have the car here, and you know they're racing with each other, and you know it's just not going to work. It's absolutely insane. The military people would be very pissed off about these cars just on a track next to them with rockets on them going down. But anyway, that's just setting up something for later on. So where were we? Back at Mr. Nobody's base that is completely compromised. All the bad guys go, and there's this big fight, and right near the end, Dom nods to one of the guys to actually flip a switch, and the magnets from the van are now in this base. So they flip the switches, and all the cars, not all the cars, all the weapons and the bad guys are basically then, I suppose, their ability to fight just stops. One of the things that happens, bearing in mind that there's going to be metal absolutely everywhere, they have these smoke grenades and these metal hoops pop out of the smoke grenades, and that goes off and gives Dom a chance to fight everybody while doing the escape. The escape is effectively a big vertical tunnel that goes up, and they're fighting their way up it. Think of it as a chimney with a lot of scaffolding, stairwells inside, and they go right near the top, and then they're still being pursued. Dom is fighting. He pushes effectively Letty through a door. She goes through first. Can't remember exactly which happens. And it's like a door in a submarine, you would imagine. They turn the handle, lock the door, or it appears to be locking the door, so he's sealed her in so he can fight them all and do the big fight. She's basically leaning against the door like Dom, don't die, that kind of thing, and it's meant to be a suspenseful, tearful moment. It's just shit. Anyway, he's fighting for a while and headbutts a few of the guys. There's a big fight that breaks out, and then it just goes on and on and on. He looks like he's about to be absolutely beaten, and then he looks up at her sad face through the window, through all the hands and the fists that are actually kicking him, and then fights them all off. And there's, as I say, scaffolding, ladders, and there's chains. He pulls on these two chains, and effectively the support concrete blocks break above him and fall and hit him, and then everything smashes down and it falls what looks like hundreds of feet down this vertical shaft, and he splashes in water and passes out. This is cue for more flashback scenes and scenes where he's imagining his son and everything else. That coincidentally Brian, who died a few films ago, is looking after. Now he didn't die because we know that for that gentleman they reinvented him with CGI, but you know, they've looped him back in and he's basically been off screen looking after the kids. So Dom is drowning, having all these memories which seem to go on forever, and you know what, the amount of time the memories went on, you know, if you were holding your breath that long, you're going to be dead. And then out of nowhere, from hundreds of feet up, comes Letty, but you don't see this, you just see her in the water swimming towards him, picks him up, and the next scene is he's basically on a bed, and you know, he looks up at her and, oh, is this real? Well, no, it's not fucking real. The whole thing is absolutely fantasy. But, oh, is this real? And she assures him it is. And you came back for me. How the fuck did you get down that vertical tower when you appeared to be locked in a door, and you had all the rubble on top of Dom, all the bad guys, all the scaffolding, all the rubbish? How the hell did you do that? I have no idea. You know, part of me wants to go back to that bloody cinema to watch it again, because I must have passed out for 10 minutes while they had a scene explaining this. But no, this film explains nothing. It links nothing up. It is pure rubbish. It is cinematic experience after cinematic experience that have been linked together so poorly that a small child of 5 years old could probably write something much better. Anyway, moving on from here, they then figure out a plan on what they must do, because the bad guys have now got both parts of the dome, and a bit that I must have missed out on because I had to Google again and have a look afterwards. They've also kidnapped a girl that I believe Han was looking after. He was a gentleman that died in one of the earlier films, but he's been brought back. They show how he's been brought back at the end. I'm not even going to talk about that. You know, I will let you think that's complete and utter rubbish what they have, and it's not the sequence that they have in the mid-credits scene. That was actually okay. It's the other sequence that they have explaining what happened here. So when he was brought back, there's a conversation about the girl who has been kidnapped by the bad guys that I've just forgot to mention up until this part. She is the biometric code to unlock this dome and make it work. So you effectively had two halves of a globe. You push them together, these two dome parts together, and it forms a super weapon. With her biometrics, you can unlock that super weapon. Anyway, things roll on a little bit. They decide they've got a problem. They've got a plan. How are they going to fix it? The code is being uploaded to a satellite in space to enable this super weapon that they mention no man must ever own for 50 years. And you know, I'm not sure how super it is, but it seems like Death Star rubbish to me. You know, I don't even know what this weapon was going to do when it was turned on. So we're cutting to a scene where you've got them chasing this truck here. They've installed all the magnets on the car. Big chase scene, you know, but just Hollywood rubbish here. Nowhere near as fun as one of the earlier films where they were pulling the safe through the streets and being chased. It's just crap. It really is. So they pull the safe through. Sorry, they didn't pull the safe. That was a better film. They chase the truck through the streets. They've got these magnets to try and slow it down and everything on the cars, which suck the cars in, suck the cars out. Lots of fighting that goes on. John Cena is then betrayed by the European guy who's sided with the hacker woman from a couple of films ago, and there's a big fight on top of one of the battle bus, the Fortnite battle bus they're fighting on. So John Cena falls off the Fortnite battle bus, and you know, he lands on the back of the car behind. This has got the good guys in it. They then actually say, right, okay, get into the car at the back, which is being towed because it's still attached by a magnet that I've previously mentioned, and he gets in there and drives off. Meanwhile, the comedy duo, the coloured duo, and I wish I could remember their damn names, are in a car. This is the car earlier on that was racing the plane down the track, and they're in this car on top of a fucking aeroplane. going into space. You know, Richard Branson, Jeff from Amazon have recently done this, but the Fast and Furious have done this on the back of a plane that, you know, a couple of people are doing from the Tokyo Drift film, that they're flying the plane. And here's the question: how do people that look like down and outs have access to so much equipment here? It's absolutely impossible, and it's the magic of the film, the same way that Dom's car is constantly repaired, and it appears in, you know, I believe it was the one that was smashed up at the beginning of the film. It appears in Edinburgh absolutely fine. It appears in the later scene where they're chasing the Fortnite battle bus as well, and you know, this car has magic healing abilities. It's utterly stupid. So there they're going up into space, and you're thinking, well, these guys are dead. But no. What they have to protect them is, it looks like they've got scuba diving suits that they're wearing, and they're taping themselves up. And the plane has to get higher and higher, and they basically blast off from the top of the plane out of the atmosphere to go and like stop this satellite where the upload is. It's fucking stupid. It really, really is. You know, there wasn't much sense in the earlier films where you had the submarine chasing the cars and everything. But you know what? That was fun. It was actually on planet Earth. You know, this moment they had here was effectively the Moonraker of James Bond. But at least Moonraker was funny. So there they are. They're going towards the satellite, and you know, they're trying to disable it, and they're flying their space DeLorean that way, because it's now built with thrusters for maneuverability and everything else. And I believe it also had magnets on the bottom there of it as well. So back to the battle bus. The Fortnite battle bus is being attacked. They do the magnets. It flips over, but the upload eventually completes. Oh, and John Cena comes back to help his brother as well to flip the bus, because he is now a good guy. You know, he has had effectively in 30 seconds of this film the Deckard redemption arc that happened in the earlier film that brought Hobbs and Shaw, which I thoroughly enjoyed and was a brilliant film, unlike this piece of rubbish. So the battle bus has flipped. It's broken, but the upload completes. So we got our two space heroes in the flying DeLorean, the space DeLorean. They think, oh well, we can't disable the satellite. They've tried hitting it. They did turn the magnets on, and it failed. So they basically use the last thrust they've got to fly through it and smash it and save the day. And there they are, drifting in space. Guess what they stumble upon? The space station. They stumble upon the ISS space station, and they have the ability somehow, which is not shown on camera, to at least dock with it, get in through the airlocks and be safe. But you don't see any of this. No, what you then flip to is back on planet Earth, and yeah, this is meant to be a film about cars, not flying cars, not DeLoreans. So yeah, you're back on planet Earth here, and you have Dom talking to John Cena, who then forgives him because the flashbacks turn out that John Cena, you know, knew that they were fixing a race. They didn't want to tell Dom because he would get upset that his father was in debt, and it's just rubbish. It really is. So that happens, and Dom gives him the remarkable car that never seems to break. You know, no matter how many accidents it has here, it's now all fixed again. So we then flip to the barbecue, and you know, they bring in Paul's character, but they don't actually show him. They say, oh, there's an empty seat at the barbecue here, and Paul's car pulls up at it, who's been looking after the kids for the whole film. This is complete trash. This is complete rubbish. You know, it is not worth your time unless you're a absolute diehard fan. And you know, I wasn't a diehard fan, but I was a huge fan of this. I enjoyed these films. Unless you're a fan that effectively says, no, I must go and see this, the fear of missing out is too great, you know what, wait for it to come on TV. This is one of the weakest films that they have ever done. I have missed huge chunks of boringness, and the way that I have described this film, I want you to be sitting there thinking, you know what, It doesn't make any sense what he's saying, the way he's spoken about this. The continuity, and never mind the country skipping and everything else, is just utterly ridiculous. But that is a film that you've got. So, I've been the Gentleman. This is Gentleman's Pixel Club. I hope you've enjoyed the film. The only bit I enjoyed the film was the mid-credit sequence. So you know what? If you want a bit of interesting film for 30 seconds, buy a ticket, let 2 hours, 2 hours 15 minutes pass, then pop into the cinema just to see the credit sequence, and you would have had your money's worth. Beyond that, well, it's up to you. See you next time.